Good morning, students, and happy Friday. So last week and this week, you guys have practiced your algebraic equations with all of the operations, so addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And so today, you're having this open book test on reviewing every single kind of operation with your equations. So after you do your review exercises and speed drills, you're going to see your equations with all different operations. So my main piece of advice is to focus on them one by one and pay attention to the operation individually, because you don't want to accidentally subtract or add or accidentally multiply when you're supposed to divide. So just make sure that you're paying attention to them one-on-one, and also that you read them out loud. When you read the equation out loud, you can better understand it. So just for some samples, and I am going to go over these, or by now I would have already gone over them yesterday, Thursday, because we're going to practice them on our whiteboard program again. But just to give you some samples, if you missed it or you need a review, I'm going to do these two samples with you. And notice here we have division. And remember that division can be in two ways. We have division where we have one number on top of the other, like a fraction. And then we have our normal division symbol that we're used to. And for multiplication too, we can have either the multiplication symbol times, like the X, or we can have the number right next to the letter. So don't forget that when the number is right next to the letter, that means multiplication. So let's go to the first sample, and here we have what number divided by 3, and I'm going to move my hand in a second, gives you 2. What number divided by 3 gives you 2? X divided by 3 equals 2. So if we say it out loud, it'll make it easy. What number am I going to divide by 3? And I get 2 as the answer. So you may have this one memorized, or you may have to work at solving it, but the answer is 6. I could have also multiplied 3 times 2 to get 6, but I don't like that technique too much, because not all of them are you going to be able to just multiply and get the correct answer. So here we have 6, because 6 divided by 3 equals 2. So that has to mean that X is equal to 6. And once you get to number 1, please put them in the answer column so that I can more easily check them. So here for our second sample, we have 12 minus n equals 3. So what number should I subtract from 12 to give me 3? And then after some work, you would decide that it is 9, that 12 minus 9 equals 3. Which tells us that n is actually equal to 9. And I want to give one last reminder. I noticed that a few students were confused and were kind of expecting that if there's an n here, that it would be kind of like a code and that every single n would be the same answer. Please, please do not expect that. That is not the case. Every single problem is completely on its own. So just because you got n equals 9 here does not mean that you can automatically put 9 for every single n, because that is not always going to be the case. The letter in each problem represents its own number all by itself. And here for Friday, we have commas in compound sentences. So we're continuing with comma placement, and in this case, we're going to use them in compound sentences. So it says here, use a comma before the conjunctions and, but, or, nor, for, and yet. So we learned about all of these conjunctions last week actually, but it's always important to remind yourself what they are. So these, as you probably remember, they join compound sentences. So when you have 2 or more ideas that you want to express in one sentence, you use and, but, or, nor, for, and yet to join them. So what we're going to do is we're going to read these sentences below and we're going to put a box around the conjunction. So we did a little bit of this last week. This is easy. Anytime that you see a conjunction, so anytime you see any of these words, you're going to carefully put a little box around it. Now, if that word, that conjunction, joins a compound verb, that means two action words, you're going to put CV in the blank. And CV means compound verb. So if you notice that it's joining two verbs, a compound verb, you're going to put CV. And then if the conjunction joins a compound sentence, that means two ideas in one sentence, then you're going to put CS in the blank for compound sentence. Then you're going to insert a comma before the conjunction. So I know there are a lot of steps, but if you do it one by one, it'll be okay. Anytime you see one of these words, you're going to put a comma before it. So I would be more than happy to go over 1 through 8 over Zoom today, or even through the whiteboard app. Since this is actually Friday, we probably already go over some of it yesterday. So by now, there will probably be a lesson you've already learned. However, please let me know if you need a one-on-one, and I would love to go over this with you. Just take it step by step. First, put a box around the conjunction. Then if it joins two verbs or a compound verb, you put CV. If it's joining two ideas in a sentence, a compound sentence, you put CS, then your commas. So just slowly, one by one, follow the directions. Here for Think B on the bottom, you're going to just do these 4 sentences. You're going to read them carefully, inserting commas again where they're needed. Now it says here on the blank before each number, write the number of the rule. 1, 2, or 3 that applies. So after you're done putting a comma, you're going to go back to your unit page in your book, Unit 8, and decide which rule is it. Which rule does it apply? So here we have, and I'm trying to adjust my camera. Here we go. So we have the comma rule 1. So if you notice that after you placed your comma, it follows these rules here, then you would write rule 1. And if it follows this, you're going to write rule 2. If it follows this rule, comma rule 3 on the top of the current page, then you would write 3. And of course, I'll be here as needed if you need help understanding that further. And here for your Friday assignment for spelling, this one's going to be quite easy because you're just reading these little scrapbook pages and you're going to underline the list words and then write them. So quite easy. You're going to use either the cursive form or the regular manuscript form of all of your list words. And then as you read, you're going to find them, underline them, and then when you're done underlining them, you're going to write them all here. So make sure that you have all 12 and make sure that you're underlining them first as well.